Hi guys, my name's James. Thank you for coming to watch this channel. I'm going to get straight to the point today because it could be a long one. I wanted to discuss whether it was worth spending lots of money on a Fender Custom Shop guitar or perhaps customizing your own guitar a little bit. So let's start at the beginning. This guitar is a 1989 American Standard Strat that my parents gave me in about 1997, I think, when I was 12 years old, something like that. Obviously at that age I had no idea what I had, but I was absolutely chuffed. All I knew was that it said made in USA, and that was what I'd wanted. I was very, very lucky. My parents also managed to get a really good deal on this. I think it probably cost them £600 or £700. They'd always thought it was an earlier model, 1982 or 3, but I've looked at the serial number, it's a 1989. So let me take you through what I've done to customize this guitar. I'm then going to show you my Custom Shop Tele, which is a recent purchase, and we'll compare how much it costs and what you get for your money and whether it's worth spending that much or this much. Let me be upfront, I just spent nearly £1,300, so it was just under £1,300 to change quite a few things about this. I'm going to open up a little sheet here because I don't want to miss anything out, and I'll take you through it one by one. So the first thing was that I wanted to refret this. I wanted bigger frets or fret wires, and the other ones had never been changed. So, you know, they were starting to wear down a little bit. So this is a full refret job, and it's using Evo Gold. So you can see these are not silver, they're slightly gold. Very hard wearing. This should last a long, long, long time. Many hours of playing. They're a bit bigger. I just wanted that meatier thing. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. Could have gone even bigger, but overall, for the cost of £250 for the refret, £41 for the actual wire. By the way, that's the numbers I'm telling you is without tax. So it was £1,292 including VAT, but the individual prices are just done without the VAT. You just add 20% on top to see what I actually paid. So I'm really, really happy with the fret job. It's made it feel like a new guitar by itself. So that's something I would recommend you do if you buy a vintage guitar. Have someone take a look at those frets for you. But it's also a great step in customizing your own, picking the size of the wire and different materials, different colors, etc. So I'm really happy with that. I wouldn't say it's the best bang for your buck if you're looking at £300 plus tax. So £360 really to get that done is a decent chunk of money. So let's look further down the list and see what else I did. Now, probably the most important thing that I've done is the new set of pickups. Now, I'm lucky that I live really close to a little guitar sort of, how should we say, sort of workshop called Monty's. They make their own pickups. That's how they started. That's what they're famous for. But they've done the whole job on this. Monty's is in West London near where I live. And they make their own fantastic vintage inspired pickups. So I've gone here for the Monty's 62 set, which cost £170 plus VAT. So you're looking at just over £200 for some 1962 inspired vintage, really hot pickups. You might hear that when I'm playing. Now, this was the biggest difference that I wanted to make to this guitar. The 89 original Fender pickups that were on there were just very anonymous. They didn't really have that wonderful bell-like, addictive and sort of inspirational to me tone of a Strat, the way that I wanted it, the real Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know, that epitomizes what a Strat is. So this was the biggest change, and if I could have only done one thing, that is what I would have done. It's made an incredible immediate difference for what is just £200, and I would say to you, if you know someone that can do it for you, or if you can do it yourself, to change your pickups on a cheaper guitar will give you the feel of a much more expensive guitar for the money, and that is the best thing that I did. I'll give you a little bit of a demo later in the video. Okay, so a couple of other things. I wanted to get a new bridge, and then I matched that with the tuners. Now the bridge, I just wanted a slightly upgraded bridge. It's different color. They're made by Goto, which is a good make, and you can get all sorts of different finishes. Now, I can't tell you what difference it's made particularly. As a whole, all I can say is that the guitar feels great, feels better than it did. It's more resonant, it's more interesting sounding. So all these little changes add up, I think. And then the tuners, obviously, I just wanted to match, but I wanted better tuners. And I've got to say, these are the most wonderful tuners that I've ever used. They're incredibly smooth. They look like Fender tuners. So that's great. You know, you haven't got this sort of horrible, different, obnoxious looking set of tuners on there. So that's great. So the tuners cost £60 plus VAT, so that's £72. And the bridge, which was quite expensive, cost £135 plus VAT. So you're looking at 160-ish. In retrospect, would I do that if I was on a smaller budget? That's one of the last things I would do, is the bridge. Tuners can make a great difference. The bridge itself, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe someone else can leave it in the comments if they've done some experimenting on that. Then I've gone for a new nut. So this is actually some sort of vegan nut. I didn't go for bone. They were similar price. You know, I just think it's one of those things that you could change every, you know, however long you're playing, but maybe it could be every 10 years or so, or at least have the one you've got cleaned and sort of looked at every time you restring. But this is a nice deep nut. I think it gives more stability. And all these little changes add up to a big change. And that nut cost, including VAT, £100. So it's quite expensive. But, you know, I was going for the best job I could possibly do on this guitar. Okay, so along with the pickups, we also went for a new wiring loom. No treble bleed. The controls feel much more sensitive. The dynamic range that you can get from the tone and the volume is absolutely fantastic. You can really get so many different tones and sounds out of that. So for the cost of about £80, including the VAT, along with those pickups, that is an absolutely wonderful thing to do. That will really give you that custom feel. Okay, so I'm super happy with that. So if I was only going to do one thing to the guitar, it would be the pickups and you know, having it wired. Maybe even put new pots if you've gone for a much cheaper guitar to start with. There was a cost to fitting that wiring and those pickups, and that was about another £75. So you're looking at what, £350 to make the biggest change. So you could go and buy a Mexican Strat for what's that, £700 ish. Spend £350 on new pickups and new wiring, and you're looking at just over £1,000. And you're getting a sound that far outweighs the price of that guitar, in my opinion. So I think that was great. I'd gone for a new scratch plate. I wanted the mint green. I just wanted a change. I've kept the original one that went with it. It was a sort of white coloured one. And you know, you can change that back and forth. Those are not very expensive. That was £36, including VAT. And then the new set of knobs, just because the old ones were really dirty and filthy, and you know, these were literally £12 for the three, so that's not bad at all. And then, okay, here's something that I think is relatively controversial. The idea of scraping the back of the neck. Now, I want to show you on the custom Tele what that scraped neck looks like, and I'll tell you how it feels to play. But I don't know what you can see here. Well, you'll be able to see that. There you go. They're scraped all along the neck. It's not made to look relict in the sense that they haven't done it in patches or in bits and pieces. It's done for playability. And this is a very modern shaped C neck, so it's really thin. It's very, very playable. All I can say is it's a better job than what I got from the Fender Custom Shop on this Tele. And I bet you won't believe how much it costs to get that done. That was £37.50 plus VAT, so you're looking at £45. Which is basically the minimum bench charge for any individual job that this place does. And it is the smoothest, most playable, nicest neck that I've ever played now. My hands just glide up and down. And if I was, again, on a smaller budget and all I could do was the pickups and the wiring or pots, and then for that extra £45 the neck, you would literally have an unrecognisable feeling guitar from the one you just purchased if you purchased a Mexican or a USA Standard or whatever it is. Those two things can massively, massively improve the sound and the feel, and that's the most important bit. The looks come afterwards. You know, I spent those few extra pounds getting a few other things done, as I said, like the bridge and whatnot. But to get that scraped neck, it's just a wonderful, wonderful feeling. So let's just play this for a second. I want to, basically I haven't got I didn't have the foresight to record the old pickups because I didn't know I was going to make this video at the time. So unfortunately I haven't got that. All I can say is that this guitar was very anonymous sounding before. It didn't have the proper vintage Strat tone. It was quite crackly. There was a lot more hum. Overall I just wasn't happy with it. So although I always enjoyed playing this modern neck, didn't enjoy the actual sound. It was quite unpredictable. It wasn't very sensitive in terms of these. And actually one of the tone knobs had actually just stopped working, so that needed doing anyway. So I'm just going to give you a little demo so you can hear what it sounds like. Just ignore my playing itself. I'll do my best. And here we go. that wasn't too terrible. I sort of played all the way through the pickup selection. I really don't play much using a bridge pickup in general. I tend to stick to the neck and then the 2 and 4 positions. I really like that bell-like, stratty, you know, I sort of get that here on I think people probably call this position 2, the one where it's middle and bridge. So I really like this sort of you can see how the volume goes. We're on what, 3, 2 here? Barely hear it. So we're up to about, I don't know, 7. And then keep going. And then bring the tone right down. And then again in this position where it's these two. Anyway, you didn't come here really to see me fiddling about. All I want to say about this is that the pickups have made the biggest difference. Everything else has gone along to just add little incremental bits. I would say that doing the neck, if you've got someone locally to you that can do a really good job, go for it. It is a fantastic difference. It's not gloopy. Your sweat doesn't sort of grip to it, so you can just really slide up and down. The few cosmetic things and the pick guard and things like that, great, I love that. But if you want to save money, pickups first and stripping the neck, and then you could think about having at least a conditioned fretboard, and if you need new fret wires. Then the tuners are great because they stay in tune better than the old ones, and they also just smooth, they look cool. The bridge, I don't really know, and the nut, I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure that they add together. You know, these are the sort of small changes that if you can afford it, go for it. So let's move on to an actual custom shop, which I'm going to tell you what the price difference is between what this cost, including what my parents spent on it, buying it 22 or 23 years ago. But first of all, let's get that Tele in hand. All right, guys, this is my Fender Custom Shop Telecaster. I'm going to give you a few bits and pieces of info about it, and here we go. So this is my 52 sort of reissue Custom Shop in Lake Placid blue, and it's got a large C neck, so it's much beefier than the Strat. This is, well, I'm on Anderton's website here, and although I'm looking at a 52, their information is about a 59. I don't know how they've done that. Interesting. Okay, I can't use all the info on here because I don't know if they've got it right or not, because they keep putting 59 instead of 52. So let's go for what we do know. In the bridge position, you've got a 51 no-caster single coil, of course, single coil. So that's a no-caster pickup. And then in here, you have a twisted Tele pickup. Obviously, it's a bit warmer here at the neck, and it gets that really twangy Telecaster tone, I guess, more here at the bridge. So this is a maple fingerboard, and it's quarter sawn maple, this neck. I'll put a little sort of B-roll up there. This is called a Lush Closet Classic, this finished. It's sort of got, I don't know if you call it finish checking or whatever, but lots of lines in it. I love it. It's got pretty big fret wire. This is Sanko 6105. I don't know what that means, but it's big. It's much bigger than my Strat in terms of thickness. Okay, I'm going to put this down The bodywood is ash. I believe these 89 Strats were alder, but I don't have the exact info, unfortunately, for my specific Strat. But here we go. This is the Custom Shop Tele that I was lusting after. Not the specific colour or anything, but I went in there having seen some Anderton's videos, so I bought this at Anderton's, of Pete Honore playing his purple Tele. And I actually thought, oh, I'll get a relict one, and maybe in purple. Well, I went into their wonderful custom shop room, and they were all hanging there, and I was nervous as heck. You know, I'd never spent a lot of money on a guitar. You know, I bought Epiphones and things, and I was just lucky to have my US Fender that my parents had given me. So to go in and spend £3,350 on a guitar felt like nuts. I mean, I was so nervous, and it took a long time. I wasn't feeling well either, so altogether it was just one of those days that I loved, but it was nerve-wracking. I played every single custom Tele they had, you know, a dozen or more. And I also played a load of the cheaper ones. I just thought, I'm not spending money just for the sake of it. If I find a guitar I love that costs 1,000 or less, or 1,500 quid, great, that's even better. But I played them all and I ended up with this one. So, what do I love about this guitar? Well, the neck is beefy and chunky. There's an element of sort of roughness, and you know, the relicking process makes it feel like you've got something older in your hands. And because I'm used to my 30-year-old Strat, which feels played in and worn in, you know, I really enjoyed playing that. So I wanted something that felt a bit worn in, and that's where you get this sort of rough neck finish where they've stripped it off but made it look like it's happened naturally. I'm not sure how much I love relicking. I don't know if it's my cup of tea. I've got nothing against anyone who does like it. And who knows, I'll probably get a relic guitar at some point in future. But the neck on this one has been done. Now, this is open poured finish, and my Strat is not. It's closed, so it's much smoother. And the guys that did my Strat neck for me, I took this there to show them, and they thought it wasn't a very good job at all. And I pointed out to them that it's not made to be done as a perfect new job. It's made to feel like an older guitar that's happened naturally. But anyway, it's a little bit of a rough finish. Apart from that, the hardware that you're paying for is not necessarily, you know, worth the extra money. The tuners are okay, but they're very tight. The one on the G string, I mean, as you move it, you feel it slipping, and it, you know, probably needs changing, but it's under warranty, so maybe they'll be able to do that for me. I had to actually loosen and pull up the tone knob because it was grinding against the metal of the guitar when you turned it. So their attention to detail is not always the best. But let's play it. I'm using the same amp settings as on the Strat, which I did sort of set up for the Strat. But first thing to say is this guitar is beefy. It is wild. And it's obviously got a bit of a grounding issue or a humming issue there. So let's just play a little bit. Okay, so it's always an adventure for me to play this guitar. This is the first Tele I've owned, and actually before I went to the shop that day I'd never played a Tele. But specifically for how does it compare as a custom shop to a Strat that I've customized myself for a lot less money. So in total, the Fender Strat that I customized myself probably cost in the region of £2,000 total. And this cost £3,350. So why, and is it worth it? Well, first thing to say is I did go into the shop that day open-mindedly, and I played Ultras and Performers, whatever they're called, you know, every different range of Telecaster. They're all really lovely guitars. There's something about a Telecaster that, you know, I'm still at the beginning of my journey and I'm enjoying it. But this was unique, this guitar. Yeah, all the custom shops played differently, sounded different, felt different. The necks were slightly different. Everything about them just had a slight, you know, if it was a percent or two's difference, you know, something has been done by some individual that has made it what it is. You know, I didn't go in for this finish, this color, or anything. And I went there and I found a guitar that I loved. Could I have fallen in love with a £1,000 Telecaster? Yes, possibly, if I didn't have access to this. And then if I'd spent £1,200 on top of that £1,000 guitar, would I have a guitar that was then as good as this, or maybe even better? Yes, it's really possible. I'd say that Strat over there is perfect for my taste. That's, you know, it's something I've done to it. So I've chosen all the bits, and that was great fun. It's worked out to be quite a lot cheaper than this. But here's the thing. Each guitar has to work on its own merits. This is a Tele, that's a Strat, so unfortunately for this video it's not apples to apples, it is apples and oranges. Maybe apples and pears, you know, they're quite close. Would I buy this again? Yes, 100% I would. But I would also have toyed around and taken a bit more time and thought about whether buying a much cheaper Tele and making it my own was possibly worthwhile. And that would have cost £1,000 less than this guitar. But maybe it wouldn't have quite met up to the individuality of this particular one. You know, this serial number that I've picked and I've got and I've enjoyed. So I haven't got regret in any way about buying this guitar. But I would say that you can get the quality, the individuality and everything for a lot less money if you're willing to put in a bit of time and you know someone or a place where you can take a guitar and trust people to work on it. You can get a fantastic neck job done for you for very little money. As I said, it was under £50 to have the Strat neck scraped perfectly. It's a better job than this custom. You know, the pickups are not so expensive. The hardware is not so expensive. So if you can find someone that can do everything that you want, and it works out to be significantly cheaper than this, and you don't mind not having the custom shop label, not that that's particularly visible, you know, I don't know that many people would know this was custom, then great. I would suggest that that's possibly and probably a better route, unless money is no object and you just want it off the shelf. Great. This was head and shoulders more interesting and better to play and more unique than any of the sort of non-custom shop tellies that I picked up that would need work to get there. So all in all, what's my takeaway message? Fender Custom Shop is great. It's massively overpriced as far as I'm concerned. If this was $2,000 to $2,500, it would have felt a lot more like it was at the right level. For $3,500, that's a lot of money. On the other hand, weighing it up against the $5,000 Gibson custom shops that I looked at, it was a much better value proposition. Those Gibsons, they're getting better, but they still need some more attention to detail. So in retrospect, I would have spoken to Monty's, who did my Strat, and asked what they would do to a Tele, and maybe gone and looked at an example that they've done. So there you go. I can't give you a straight answer. What I can give you is the example that I've got, which is that I've got a custom shop and a personally customized guitar. I love them both, but there's something about doing it yourself, saving the money, picking the parts that you want, that I think gives it just that extra bit. I'm really proud of the Strat. I love it, and I'm going to have that for the rest of my life. So if you're looking at a custom shop guitar, look at the options around you in terms of who can do work for you, what pickups you can use, whether you can actually get the same hardware that they put on these but a lot cheaper, or even better hardware if you're not bothered about it being Fender. So there we go. That's my opinion. I hope it's been of some interest. If you like this sort of content, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I'm trying to grow this channel, and any feedback I get is really interesting for me to see, whether it's positive or negative. All right, guys, have a good day. Cheers.